It's crazy that the Blue Beetle movie essentially was running up. Uh, it was an uphill battle. They were running up a hill in order for them to actually possibly make a profit, considering the current state that the DC uh, movie franchise is in. This is the equivalent of what was going on with the Flash, but with Blue Beetle, it was going to be even worse, considering the fact that the character isn't that known or popular, and you're dealing with essentially subject matter that was either going to be bare the bones superhero movie stuff, and you had a director go around and only promoting and presenting the movie with the idea and the identity that this is solely going to be based upon the heritage of the character and honestly nothing else. And so because of that, upon actually seeing the Blue Beetle, which I did this weekend, I have to say that this movie is ultimately uh, not worth a trip to the movies. Now, the movie, by all accounts, is not bad. I have to reiterate, this movie is not bad. But there are way too many moments in this movie where I roll my eyes. Not as much as I did with Transformers, but you guys know how much I despise the Transformers. But not as much as that, but more so things that were essentially just really bad direction and dialogue and writing, where you actually had some pretty good, interesting moments, whether it be the funny moments that they did well or some of the serious scenes that were taking place in the movie were kind of just overdrawn or completely ruined by additional bad dialogue choices that essentially only predicated towards the essentially the ethnicity of the characters and what they were talking about. So rather than it being something that generally was showcased as just family, a lot of times it would just kind of go out of its place to just try and make you sit there and feel more sympathetic just because they're Hispanic, not because the family is going through something, but because people of their culture go through something like this. Exactly. All the time. How dare the rich do what they do to people from other cultures and countries that come over here and try to make an honest living? Sons of bitches. And it did not work. It worked so negatively against this movie that it just, there was moments where I was like, yeah, I'm actually generally invested and I actually care about what they're saying. And then bam, they would drop one of those, harsh, those rich folks pushing us out and blah blah blah, because what we do, we get things done. And it's like, I know you're not talking about the family. You're talking about the people. And that doesn't really trek here. Not in a good way. And it just soiled the movie, one should say. And then because they hyper-emphasized over those aspects, whether it be, hell, I don't even know exactly what the Reyes' nationality was, because they didn't really give a specific um, nationality to them, as far as I can tell from the movie, but more so they just kind of was supposed to represent the generalization of Hispanic people. So, it's like, I don't know if they're supposed to be Mexican, Puerto Rican, Spanish, or I don't know. It was like they just kind of Cuban, anything like that. Like they really didn't give that kind of weight to them. They just were generalized, and so it's like it's best to just kind of refer to them as just Hispanic. And it was like, and then they kind of had stuff pop up here and there to just kind of make it seem like they just came from all different aspects of Hispanic culture, which again made it even more confusing. But also because the fact that the script itself just dealt with constantly pushing this factor to which that was something that was far more important than actually what the characters, the family, or the situation called for, that it ruined it, because it was like, yeah, why are you focusing so hard on this? Because I don't even know who these people are, but right now, only thing that apparently you care about is that they're Hispanic and that the Hispanic people aren't treated justly. And that's dumb. That's really dumb. It's a really dumb thing to do for a movie with a character that essentially doesn't really have an identity within mainstream entertainment. So give him one. Which now leads into my other issue with this movie is that Jaime Reyes has no fucking personality, and that is the biggest problem with this movie. I have no idea what it is that he wants, or what it is that he truly cares about, what it is that he's aspiring to do, or what it is that he's capable of doing, because the movie did not showcase any of that. All they did was give his symbolism of his importance to family. That's it. That's all that they did. But that's something that could be predicated to any type of character. So again, that doesn't mean that I get to see Jaime be someone that's like, okay, this is how Jaime deals with trying to help out his family, or what Jaime would do in certain situations or whatnot. Hell, they had it to where in the movie, he had such a strong sense of not wanting to kill that it became an issue, that it became something that generally ultimately led up to his father's death. Yet, throughout the movie, when his family got tech and equipment to be able to do things, they were murdering people left and right. So then the question became, well, where the fuck did he get this sense of justice and well-being of man, or this crazy need to just not want to kill? Where did that come from? Because they didn't give any justification behind it. They just had him constantly going around and telling the Scarab, I don't kill. I don't kill. I don't want to kill. Non-lethal means of weapons and whatnot. But it's like, well, where's this coming from? Why do you think this? These people are pointing guns at your family and are about to fucking just wreck them. And you're still worried about not killing in this scenario rather than quickly saving your family among anything else. And again, it's not like you have the concrete reasoning and logic behind Batman and what basically has been told through time and time again with him, or with Superman being a person who literally is like, I could kill everyone right now, but I choose not to, which is why I'm the better person. Do you not see that? And, you know, with other characters essentially just being able to like, it's like, yeah, I can handle this scenario or situation without resorting to violence or needing to kill my enemy. But if push comes to shove, I might have to. But it, since it doesn't have that in this movie, because again, they didn't really give Jaime any type of personality or character, then it really just kind of boggles the mind, in which he was like, it's like you would jeopardize your family life over your insane logic of not wanting to kill when they could quite well be fucking dead because of this insane logic that again is not coming from anywhere. And you could have fixed this with anything, like having his dad give him a strong sense of moral responsibility within that aspect, having it to where because he grew up where he grew up, he's seen bad shit happen and people get killed from going on the wrong side of the law, and then that could trek into why he has a law degree. So it's like, yeah, I want to actually bring people to justice the right way without actually going about doing crazy shit. I've seen what that leads to. Anything like that that is to essentially be some type of justification or a reason behind why he do this, but they did not give that. And then when you show his family, the people that he's all for and he cares for, which essentially made up his character, which was sad, they were going around killing people left and right. So then it was like, well, why the fuck doesn't he kill? Where is this sense? Where is this coming from then? Why is he doing this? Because it's a major character flaw that essentially just popped up out of nowhere. It's like, well, he's a hero, so he can't murder. But then it's like, well, we gave a gun to the grandma and she's going around murking people. And it's like, well, no one's going to question or talk about that. That's just what grandma do. It's what she do. And it just, it ruins so much. Because again, dealing with Jaime is a character that if you don't know, yes, he might not be the original Blue Beetle, and that's fine, but Blue Beetle isn't a character that's that popular in the first place. This easily could have been handled similar to Wally West being the Flash from the Justice League cartoon. And it's something to where it's like, yes, in the mainstream, not that many people know the difference of Barry Allen and what Barry Allen is all about if you're dealing with a certain generation that didn't grow up reading the comic books. But you are dealing with a group of people who do know the bare bones of what the Flash is. And Blue Beetle has been in the only type of showcasing of him within recent iterations has been Jaime. So dealing with that, and it's like, well, that actually leads you to have some type of interpersonal concepts with this character, considering the situation that he in isn't something that's similar to other superheroes. But the movie kind of removed that in order to basically make damn near an Iron Man clone, which was sad because it's like it's an Iron Man clone where he just can't tell, where he's not telling Jarvis, well, Jarvis is doing whatever it wants to do, and then at the end Jarvis is like, okay sir, what is it that you want to do? And it just is just bad. That's really bad. While as what you should have done was give the duality for Jaime, considering the fact that the Scarab is a weapon that wants to destroy and was made to invade and conquer Earth. And then you have him and his person, you have him and his character essentially quell that murderous rampage nature of the Scarab, and generally they build upon a friendship. The Scarab should have been a character onto himself, as well as the fact that you would have it to where during conversations and situations and whatnot, while Jaime's trying to either hide the fact that he has the Scarab, or while having serious conversation with other people, you have the Scarab interjecting and constantly telling him like, hey, why don't we just kill everybody right now, and him telling him to be quiet. And then you just have that funny aspect of where he's having a full-blown conversation with someone that no one else can hear, and his family either mocking him for it or other people questioning his mental state or whatnot and stuff like that. And it's like things that could have been done that would have been played very well with his character, but they didn't do any of that. And considering the fact that you had the subject matter to do something like that, which would have been a fun concept for this character, or any character, mind you, that fits within this realm, you just kind of just boggled it. You're just like, ugh. And this isn't something where it's like, that's what I expected from this movie, but it's like, that's just something that could have happened that would have improved what this movie was. And they just did not have anything. And what I'm talking about, or what I'm bringing up, is essentially just an alternative from what it is that we was given. What you get in this movie is literally an Iron Man copy without the genius of the I would say of the severity of what Iron Man represented when Tony Stark first made it. So the fact of him trying to understand the suit, breaking down exactly what it is he wanted to do with the suit, the reason why he's coming up with the idea of the suit in the first place, his life, and then his like the shrapnel in his heart, the shit that was done in the very first Iron Man movie, blah 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 blah. Within this movie, you get Jaime getting the Scarab. He transforms and wigs out for one quick minute because he doesn't know what to do with this thing that's on him for whatever reason. Then it happens again. And then essentially after that, it happens, what else? It happens again in order for him to protect him from supposedly the fight with the main bad guy before the end of the fight with the main bad guy. And then one more time where his family is in trouble, which honestly was something that I thought was just kind of, I get you were doing the Hispanic element, but I was like, this is kind of too on the nose of some bullshit that should not be. When it's like they were being drugged out of their home, and I was like, is this supposed to be a representation of like when people get deported and families get like broken into by ICE and shit like that? Because if that's the case, then you're right on the money. But also, it's kind of really fucked up, especially since that they did what they did. But then just questionably, they had like the people drag them out of the house one by one, only to then line them up and position them to get shot. When it's like they were completely defenseless. You had them. All you had to do was just take them into custody, put them in the back of a van or something like that. But they lined them up to shoot them. But it's like they weren't a threat. They weren't Jaime. They already know that Jaime is the one who has the Scarab. So why go through this with the family? That just seems weird. And that was just a weird thing to do, and again only to facilitate that same notion of what happened to Hispanic people when they call like immigration and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, that's fucked up. It's like, that's fucked up because this doesn't go anywhere with this. You just have a really fucked up scene. But again, so at max he only transforms to the Blue Beetle like 4 times in the movie, and even then, like basically like the end of it is just like a prolonged transformation. But for the most part, he doesn't really do anything while he's the Blue Beetle. He doesn't come into his own until the end of the movie. And then other than that, you just constantly have him going around just trying to do non-violent shit. And it's like, he has a cool power set. He has a cool abilities. He has pretty cool ways that he's doing stuff. And it's like, this is actually entertaining and fun to watch. And considering how superhero movies have been, seeing as how you should have a template on what these things have done prior, you should look at this as a different structure than what other superhero movies have done. So maybe go about it in a different way. Be creative. Take liberties and risk. You're dealing with a character that not a lot of people know about. And going on a safe route that just basically keeps screaming out, he's Mexican, he's Mexican, he's Mexican, is not a positive thing to do for this character, especially if you wish to show the representation that you sorely believe that you deserve. Because it is unbelievably retarded that you would basically have this movie constantly scream out day in and day out, we need a hero, we deserve a hero, we deserve that. And then you give absolutely nothing for this hero that would make him stand out or be different or at least respected in the accolades of other heroes that he supposedly should be standing next to because he's Hispanic, because you think that that's all that matters when it comes to a hero or a character or whatnot. And again, it's very disappointing because, like, the suit looks amazing. How the Blue Beetle suit that they have looks fucking amazing. Like, it looks really cool. The abilities and movesets that they gave him was really cool. Hell, even at the moment where, like, the Scarab makes a gun and then he goes non-lethal and then the gun transforms into something else, he goes, that's what I'm talking about. And I was like, that was cool. Hell, there's a fight scene in the catacombs, which was, it was a good fight scene, but it was poorly directed. And I wish that these people would learn or look up action scenes because they had a dimly lit, like hallway of like a fucking catacombs or whatever, where there was just like red warning lights all over the place. You could barely see anything. Jaime shows up in his dark suit, and then they're fighting in the dark, and then the camera is too fucking close up on his character, as well as constantly shaking, because that's what you do with action scenes in order to convey that the action is serious. And you could not follow any of it. And what made it even worse was that it was the bombest fight scene in the whole fucking movie. And so I sat there annoyed because it's like, I can't see anything. But I know what he's doing is pretty cool. He's slamming people on the wall. His hands are changing into different types of weapons and he's using them. But it's like, I can't see anything. And when he does hit someone and a spark flies, it basically flares up the entire goddamn screen because everything's so pitch black around him. Shit. How do you direct this badly? Movies have existed for a long time. I don't understand why people don't study shit before it is that they try to tackle shit. But again, the director's main concept that he wanted to convey with this movie was that Jaime Reyes is Hispanic. And that's it. That's all he wanted to do. That's all he wanted to talk about. That's all he wanted to do. Oh my goodness. It just could have been so much better. Even in dealing with him becoming the Blue Beetle, he was given a scare by a girl, and it was like, whatever. And then the girl basically spends so much time crying about the fact that her dad is gone and her mom died, and her dad lost himself into work, and basically she's just a giant rich hippie, which is the stupidest kind of hippie. And you're complaining to a guy who essentially got his life ruined because of your inadequacies to think about a situation or have some type of follow through with what you were doing. All right, I'm gonna break in if they have this. If they when I see something, I'm gonna just take it. And it's like, all right, then what do? I'm gonna slowly walk away and hopefully not get caught. Oh wait, here's this guy that I talked to that I didn't even like give a second thought behind because, you know, rich hippie mindset. I say these things, but I don't really do anything because of it. I just say things. Whatever. What the fuck is a consequence? What the fuck is even kosher food? But you have that, and then because of this woman's interference in his life and just giving him this dangerous weapon that he knew nothing about, because, you know, that's just what people do in scenarios, because it's like, well, I need to hurry up and get rid of this because my feelings towards my aunt and what they got going on is a hell of a lot more important than jeopardizing this boy's life, whom I know nothing about. And in doing so, you literally endangered his family and then subsequently got his fucking father killed because of that. And all the movie could possibly do was just have her go, I'm sorry, rather than basically get torn into her like it should, because it's like, bitch, this is your fault. This is all your fault. My father is dead because of you, and because you're very, 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 very dumb. But Jesus Christ, it was like, well, can't punish her for anything like that. Hell, you didn't even give any type of symbolism of respect towards what was happening within the movie, where the premise itself of the bad guy being the girl's aunt, who was played by Susan Sarandon, essentially building up a company with her father, which was the because I can't even remember, the girl gave the scarab to Jaime. Like the girl gave the scarab to Jaime, her aunt Susan Sarandon, the aunt's father, they both built a weapons company together. Again, sounds a lot like Iron Man, don't it? They built a weapons company together. The grandfather then proceeded to give the company to his son rather than the daughter he built the company with. The son apparently is this raging fucking hippie because after he gets the company, he decides to dismantle the entire weapons project. Sounds a lot like Iron Man, don't you think? He begins to dismantle the entire weapons project. Then this motherfucker goes missing. And so then upon him actually going missing, the aunt regains control over the company and then turns it back into the weapons company that it was in the first place. Because duh, why wouldn't she? And so then upon saying this information towards Jaime when they had a moment of levity behind themselves, the girl happens to mention it and she brings up the scenario of what took place. And then when Jaime was like, wow, and before he could finish his fucking sentence, she cuts him off. And guess what she says? Sexist? Yeah. And it just ruined any type of build up that I had or a sympathetic ear that you would possibly lend to this villain because of something that generally was just fucked up. I didn't even think about the sexist aspect until she said it. I just thought it was fucked up. Because you didn't say anything about the grandfather thinking, well, she was inadequate because she was a girl or anything like that. You just said he gave it to the son. Maybe the grandfather had a change of heart and he thought, well, what my daughter turned into was a monster and I didn't think she needs to have these weapons anymore. I know my son would do better. Or you could have a scenario to where it's simply similar to like Toys with Robin Williams, where I'm leaving the company to someone that I know is probably going to fuck it up, only to facilitate and urge my son to finally get in good graces and do right by the company by growing up. So I'm gonna leave it to my brother. I'm gonna leave it to my son, who's probably gonna fuck up this company, only to make my daughter that much more stringent and becoming the person that I need her to be without me to run the company the right way. You could have had something like that. But essentially, even though you had the niece, the girl who gave the scare up to Jaime, say this shit, you then have her constantly confront and talk down to the aunt as if what her father was doing was the original path the company was meant to take in the first place. I'm going to return the company the way how my dad did. You're ruining everything. And it's like, wait a minute, but you already know the circumstances of what went on within the family. Your father should not have had the company. Your father is a hippie who decided to stop manufacturing weapons, which apparently is the only thing you did. And so then your grandfather, in his sheer dumbass concept of hubris, left it to your father for no fucking reason, outside apparently from you just being sexist, who then decided to just completely turn the company inside out. And then upon him leaving his responsibilities, because whatever for that, when she decided to put the company back on the right track, you then berate her and talk down to her because this isn't what your father wanted. The fuck? It's like you said, that doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. And then essentially you gave no type of levity towards the villain in order for that to be something to where it's like, yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. Because yeah, this is what we were doing. This is how we got our money in the first place. This is the company that I built. We made weapons. That's what I know. And so your father leaving the responsibilities and now putting me in charge, I'm going to go back to what it is that I know. Weapons. Like you can sit around and talk about all this hippie shit all day long. We make weapons, damn it. And then it's like in the cruelty and the abuse and the crazy shit that she did in order to try and make ultimate weapons and stuff like that. Yeah, that can be brought on by the fact that it's like, well, she kind of just lost herself when it was like she really ain't got the backing or the support of her family. Her father, who probably she had the closer relationship to, didn't even think that she was deserving of the company that she helped build with him. And that kind of just stoned her off from that. But again, we don't do anything with that. We don't have any of that concept being brought up. We don't have any of that being ushered in or showcased within this movie because a majority of the extra shit that's done within this movie, whenever they have a chance, is just to remind you that Jaime is Hispanic. Hell, they have a part where Jaime has a speech with his dad that basically reminds him of who he is, gives him like the talk that he needs. You know, the Uncle Ben spirit talk to like put him back in the fight. And then upon him having this, he sees his mom and his family. He's able to hug them, and then he's going back in to fight again. And then his mom stops him to give him the same exact speech, but I think in Spanish. And it's like, this is a waste of fucking time. Why would you do this into a movie? Where you didn't need to have this. He literally just had this talk with his father. So him having this talk with his mom is like, well, the mom didn't know he had this talk. That doesn't matter. What matters is the fact that it's like, why are we wasting time with this? Why did you write this part? You already had him have this pep talk with the dad. You don't need him to have a prep talk with the mom. You need the mom to understand that my son is capable of doing this. I know he's going to do right. You go out there, you do the damn thing. Yeah, let's get it. And then they all go into action. Hell, one of the beautiful things that they did within the movie is that when the grandma was talking to the daughter and she was like, now's not the time to cry. Now's the time we got to go and save Jaime. And then it was like when everything was done at the end, the grandma looked at everyone and went, now it's time to cry. And then they all got into a big old family huddle and they cried and they had a good old share cry and hug cry. And then they invited the rich girl in to cry who was also crying on the sidelines. And it was like, get your dumb ass over here. You part of the family now too. And then it's like, obviously you need to date our kid so we can get a house again. You rich, dumb hippie. So that was another thing. They made Jaime just completely obsessed over the girl, and it's like he literally only met her a day ago. But then it was like he's into her, and it's like being into a girl does not mean I would jeopardize my family's life or put myself in danger just simply because I think you're pretty. Not unless like what they could have did was where like he noticed her while he was working at the little beach house. When he was with his sister a couple of times, and it's like, yeah, so we kind of had a little crush on her and stuff like that. That probably would have been okay. But you had it to where he just saw her. And it's like he met her a day ago, but then he was just like, oh, whatever you want. What is that? That's a fucking Hall & Oates song. Hall & Oates is great, by the way. I just wanted to throw that in there. But overall, the movie, like I said, it had negative aspects to it, but it's not an unwatchable movie. And nor like I said, it's not a bad movie. Just had a lot of moments that just kind of make you go, oh, come on, dude. Like you had a layup to actually make something interesting, fun, and cool, and you squandered it. You soiled it. Soiled it. And it's just like bad. Why would you do that? But there's so many moments in the movie where it's like, yeah, they generally had some good comedy going on. They had some very funny moments. George Lopez brought it like he always does. At certain times where it was like, all right, they need George Lopez to shut the hell up because they clearly were the people who were writing some of the dumb aspects of the Hispanic stuff wrote this, and it's just bad. But when he was on his own, it was like, yeah, this shit was funny. Now, personally, thinking about what's going on within the this is now no on review, but me just bringing up the whole shit that's going on with DC and Warner Brothers and whatnot. This is not a movie that I would have released in the theaters. I probably would have made this become an HBO Max exclusive, simply because of the fact that you have a issue dealing with the DC movies after you announce what you announced with James Gunn. People are going to take this shit seriously. No one's going to watch these movies and actually care about what's going to happen because we know that this shit isn't going to last. So you already kind of destroy whatever fan base you have from enjoying this shit because they already know this shit don't matter. So that being the case, the movie itself is just so bare bones superhero-y that it doesn't really have any symbolism. It doesn't really have any sense of it being its own individual thing. It's not a superhero movie that you can look at and go, oh yeah, this is a pretty decent superhero movie within the realm of this constant flood of superhero movies that are out. No, this seems like something that's just like everything else that's been copying everything else. And because of that, it doesn't really have any type of identity on although its own, despite the fact that they're constantly trying to push that it has a Hispanic identity, but they didn't even do that right. So it really was something that was like, yeah, I would not have put this on in theaters. I would, considering the budget that they spent for it, and then considering the accolades of what it is that they're going to possibly gain back from it, I would have put this movie on HBO Max. This is not a movie that I would want to watch again. Not at all. This is a movie that essentially watching once was fine, and that is enough. Nor would I ever want to buy this movie. But again, let me reiterate, this is not a bad movie. It just has a lot of missed opportunities, way too much overindulgence when it comes to trying to push a Hispanic culture and heritage, or the mistreatment of minorities, specifically Hispanic ones, which again kind of alienates your fan base or any type of audience from looking at it, because moments when I could relate to them was when they was doing the family shit. Then immediately, while they're talking about family shit, they'll cut into Hispanic stuff, and it's like, well, you lost me. I was right there with you. Then you when it made it to where it was like, well, it's kind of racist. It's like, well, I guess I don't know. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, our family survives and perseveres through stuff, even though we got hard times. No matter what, we all make it through. Yeah, I can relate to that. That is family. And it was like, yeah, because you know how they treat Hispanics and Mexicans, and it's like, ah, oh, what are you doing? Why would you say there's literal lines like that in this movie? I'm not being facetious. There are literal lines like that in this movie. That's why it's like, Jesus Christ, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Why are you doing this to me? I thought we were friends. I was having fun. Ah, so that's my overall review. Currently, right now, a lot of people are talking about the numbers that Blue Beetle is producing, and honestly, I don't really give a fuck. You kind of know exactly where certain movies stand within the superhero genre now, considering the hype or the attention that they have. I feel that one of the biggest ones that's going to be talked about will be upon them actually getting finished will be Deadpool 3 as well as the Joker, Joker 2. And these are going to be things that are going to be these long-standing concepts. Well, I say Joker 2, but I'm mistaken. I'm looking forward to Joker 2. But realistically, Deadpool 3 is going to be one of the biggest things of people actually paying attention to and wanting to bring up because of the severity of that situation involving that movie and that franchise. But aside from that, there really isn't anything in the pipeline that's actually worth a while to look at. The MCU was basically fucking a dead fish floating in toxic waste. So don't eat it. But and there's absolutely nothing going on within DC that basically will make you hype for anything. Most of the shit that James Gunn has announced that he's going to do has been abysmal things that no one has ever heard of, and then the stuff that they are currently doing are things that no one actually cares about because, well, none of it fucking matters. So I am not one of, so the superhero genre, just so for some type of clarity in terms of me speaking about this, again, I'm just trying to level the playing field on how I feel about what's going on in terms of me looking at these movies prior to this. The superhero genre is not dead. It's just that there have been an abundance of boring, bad movies that have come out. Blue Beetle is one said movie where they did bare bones superhero shit trying to push an agenda and then essentially gave it no type of identity or even gave it the type of fun that it needed to make it its own individual movie that a lot of people probably would have clung to and had fun with. And I wish they did because it's actually a pretty interesting concept with a pretty cool character that, if you know anything about, actually had some type of dope stuff to it. Hell, and I was just speaking on things of what the movie gave us. If they really wanted to do this right, they could have did it with what's really cool is the fact that Blue Beetle was already an existing hero. He died, and then he passed on the scarab to Jaime. And then you could have the Jaime actually having the issue of trying to hide it from his family, but his family being incredibly supportive over what it is that he's doing. And in a sense, having it to where when they find out that he is now the new Blue Beetle, and he feels this sense of justice and a sense of justice and righteousness of doing and finishing what the guy that originally was Blue Beetle passed down to him, because you could have had it to where they had like a Doc Brown, Marty McFly scenario where it's like, why are you always hanging out with that weird guy? And it was like, man, he's cool. He helped me out, helped me study. He's one of the reasons I went to college and all that. Pretty cool dude. But he felt that Jaime was the only person who could take on the task of being Blue Beetle after he died. And then Jaime took it, and then he has to battle with the Scarab, but at the same time, his family actually supports his decision rather than actually being against it in any way. And then you seeing that being built up, and then Jaime understands that even though the guy is gone, his family is there and they've always been there, and then you still have that sense of family. You don't need to push the Hispanic angle. He is Hispanic. That's all you need. You don't gotta sit there and constantly screaming out at people. They can see the actor. It's fine. They're speaking Spanish. That's cool. I have no problem with that. Oh, we're making him speak Spanish because, quinceañeras. No, goddammit, it's just good on its own. You could have done so much better with this character and handle him in a fantastic way, but you just chose not to. But again, like I said, the superhero genre is not a dead genre, nor is it a played out genre or anything like that. People are tired of bad movies. That is the only thing. these movies are bad. It is not right to say that this genre essentially is suffering because of the circumstances going on within these movies, when it's like none of these movies are any type of quality or on any type of par of being something that essentially would have it to where it's like, yeah, they're pretty cool, or like they're really good or anything like that. And it's like, no, these are bad fucking movies. So with that being the case, it should let people understand and adhere to this fact that, hey, if they were to do these movies right and people were to enjoy themselves, see it, and actually have fun the way that they used to, then we probably would do a hell of a lot better within this superhero genre. But that's not the case. And like I said, there's too much stuff that you really could have done when it came to Jaime Reyes that would have made him a very interesting and unique character, as well as develop a lot of stuff that makes him such an individual within the DC comic book world, that they completely squandered in order to just shove down your throat that he's Hispanic, they speak Spanish, and that Hispanic people are marginalized in certain aspects because that's all the movie gave us. And I know nothing about his wants, his likes, his dislikes, what he's trying to do, what he feels that he can do with the Scarab or anything like that. Hell, the villain didn't even make sense. He just popped up and was like, your family makes you weak. But it came from nowhere. So it's like, what the fuck? Why would you even say that? I don't know you, dude. And right now, I'm currently kicking your ass. And I don't even know what I'm doing. So how is it that they make me weak? Because I'm not fighting with my family. That doesn't make any sense, but they had the villain say that because someone thought that that was what to do, because if we making this whole movie about family, obviously the villain needs to be anti-family. But what? And then that seems as if it would have made more sense with Susan Sarandon being the person who says that, considering that her family basically fucked her over, rather than the dude who was wearing the armor, who just kind of repressed the memory of what was going on with his family. Also, on it, this is how I'm gonna end this review on this note. Another reason why I say that this kind of just arbitrarily was really fucking stupid. When he fought the guy who had the armor and he beat him, Jaime was about to kill this dude, and then the Scarab stopped him from trying to kill the dude. And then the Scarab also, who started speaking Spanish, by the way, randomly, because again, they're Hispanic, started to show him the memories of the guy that they were fighting so that he could see where this guy came from and why he was a bad guy in the first place. To which Jaime then stopped trying to kill him, let him up, and then let him promptly know, my family makes me strong. And what in the Demon Slayer bullshit was that? Bad. Bad writing. Such bad writing. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So, yeah, this has been another episode of Fun with Flame. I've been your host, Daniel the Flame, and as always, good people, hope you had fun.